ASEAN-Korea Center is committed to building a genuine partnership between ASEAN and Korea. The member states of the ASEAN-Korea Center are the 10 ASEAN member states and the Republic of Korea, Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Lao PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Republic of Korea. ASEAN's strategic location and fast-growing economy have made it one of the most sought-after partners in the world. ASEAN and Korea have developed close partnerships in the political, economic, social, and cultural sectors based on a strong foundation of friendly relations. Now, ASEAN and Korea are working together to deepen and strengthen the strategic and substantial cooperation. The ASEAN-Korea Center is comprised of 3 main units: the Council, the Executive Board, and the Secretariat. The Secretariat includes the Development Planning and General Affairs Unit, Trade and Investment Unit, Culture and Tourism Unit, and the Information and Data Unit. The ASEAN-Korea Center identifies future business opportunities based on research on the ASEAN economic trends, enhances ASEAN-Korea partnership in innovative sectors, and contributes to expanding business cooperation between ASEAN and Korea. Furthermore, the Center expands the database of ASEAN cultural and tourism contents, providing relevant information. In order to facilitate sustainable and future-oriented ASEAN-Korea tourism cooperation, the Center supports the strengthening of cultural and tourism capacities. The Center contributes to the enhancement of ASEAN-Korea relations by effectively promoting ASEAN and Korea through the use of the media and social media and the production of digital contents. The Center also serves as the ASEAN-Korea Information Hub and facilitates exchanges between ASEAN and Korean youths, as well as among experts to strengthen friendship and solidarity between the peoples of ASEAN and Korea. The Center also oversees the annual meeting of the Council and the quarterly meetings of the Executive Board while expanding external relations. Additionally, the Center also makes efforts to enhance the organization's capacity. To foster better understanding between Korea and ASEAN, the Center operates ASEAN halls in Seoul and Jeju. Visitors can appreciate and experience the diverse cultures of Korea and the 10 ASEAN member states in the halls. The ASEAN-Korea Center connects ASEAN and Korean people, concentrating its efforts on trade and investment, culture and tourism, public relations, and people-to-people exchanges. The ASEAN-Korea Center will foster a lasting and genuine ASEAN-Korea partnership.
잠시 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 잠시 후 10시 20분부터 한 아세안 포괄적 전략 동반자 관계 CSP 비전 이행 세션이 시작됩니다. 장내에 계신 분들은 착석을 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
May I have your attention, please? Session of Implementation of ASEAN-ROK Comprehensive Strategic Partnership CSP Vision will begin shortly. We ask all of our distinguished guests to come in and take your seat.
안녕하십니까? 제21회 제주 포럼에 참석해 주신 여러분, 지금부터 한 아세안 포괄적 전략 동반자 관계 CSP 비전 이행 세션을 시작하겠습니다. 원활한 행사 진행을 위해서 휴대전화는 매너 모드로 전환해 주시길 바랍니다. 본 행사는 한국어, 영어로 동시 진행됩니다. 통역을 원하시는 분들께서는 자리에 놓여진 통역기를 착용하시기 바랍니다. 한국어는 1번, 영어는 2번입니다.
Please make sure your cell phone is either off or on silent mode. Korean and English simultaneous interpretation is provided in this session. If you would like interpretation, please use the receiver provided at your seat. Korean is channel 1. English is channel 2.
Excellencies, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the ASEAN-Korea Center session, Implementation of ASEAN-ROK Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Vision. My name is Junpyo Lee, Assistant Officer at the ASEAN-Korea Center. It is my great pleasure to serve as the MC for today's important discussion. As the overarching theme of the 21st Jeju Forum suggests, we are living in a fragmented world marked by growing uncertainty and complexity, making the reinvention of cooperation more important than ever. In this context, today's session could not be more timely, as it seeks to explore the practical ways in which ASEAN and Korea can cooperate to achieve shared prosperity. Now, without further ado, let us begin the session with opening remarks, which will be followed by 2 rounds of group photo. I'm pleased to invite His Excellency Kim Jae-shin, Secretary General of ASEAN-Korea Center, to deliver his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Very nice to meet you in Jeju, the most beautiful place in Korea. Did you take a good rest last night? Yeah. Okay. In fact, this is the 3rd time for ASEAN-Korea Center has organized this special session on ASEAN. It reflects the importance of the relationship between ASEAN and Korea. I'm sure that these sessions will be continued. Okay. Her Excellency Bernadette Therese FERNANDEZ, Ambassador of the Philippines to Korea. Her Excellency Jesuína Maria Ferreira GOMES, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Timor-Leste. And His Excellency Bu Ho, Ambassador of Vietnam to Korea. Professor SHIN Hyeok, Director of ASEAN Center of Korea University. Mr. Dae-goog, Director of ASEAN Cooperation Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Korea. Professor MIENO Fumiharu, former Director of Center for Southeast Asia Center of Kyoto University. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all our distinguished panelists for your valuable time today. I would also like to extend a warm welcome and sincere thanks to everyone in the audience. Thank you all for joining us. Your presence and engagement make this forum more meaningful and worthwhile. Last year, the ASEAN-Korea Center convened a timely discussion under the theme Beyond Boundaries, Strengthening ASEAN-Korea Synergies under the Comprehensive Strategic Partnerships, CSP. If I may recall, the discussion led by the then ASEAN and Korean ambassadors highlighted the importance of translating shared commitments into concrete action. They emphasized the need for more strategic and impactful cooperation, enhanced connectivity, and deeper people-to-people exchanges in fostering mutual understanding, trust, and lasting partnership between ASEAN and Korea. One year later, we find ourselves in an increasingly complex international landscape shaped by evolving great power dynamics, economic uncertainty, and emerging security challenges. The Jeju Forum theme this year, Reinventing Cooperation in a Fragmented World, therefore aptly reflects the realities confronting us to date. Against this backdrop, strengthening and calibrating ASEAN-ROK cooperation is becoming more vital. At the 26th ASEAN-ROK Summit meeting last October, the Korean President Lee Jae-myung outlined the CSP vision for ASEAN-ROK cooperation, in which Korea would serve as a contributor for dreams and hope, a springboard for growth and innovation, and a partner for peace and security. The adoption of the renewed ASEAN-ROK Plan of Action 2026 to 2030, building on past successes and addressing evolving regional challenges, also serves as a litmus test for this evolving partnership. Furthermore, the accession of Timor-Leste as ASEAN's 11 members is a crucial step toward a complete and inclusive ASEAN, opening new avenues for cooperation and regional integration. Reflecting the expansion of ASEAN, our session today is also broadened to include an expert from Japan, ensuring a more diverse regional perspective. Our esteemed panelists will share their insight on regional perspectives on the ASEAN-ROK CSP and the implication of Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN, as well as discussing possible cooperation between Timor-Leste and Korea. In line with the expansion of ASEAN, the AKC is broadening its engagement through a number of initiatives. First, following the installation of benches representing the 10 ASEAN member states along the ASEAN-Korea OLE last year, we were pleased to inaugurate the Timor-Leste bench yesterday. Second, Timor's youth are participating in various AKC youth programs, including the ASEAN-Korea +3 Youth Retreat and the ASEAN-Korea Youth Network Workshop, fostering greater mutual understanding among the next generation. Third, we look forward to the opening of the Jeju ASEAN Hall this September, as the AKC's third dedicated ASEAN space, following those in Seoul and Jeju. It is expected to serve as a vibrant platform for introducing the diverse cultures of ASEAN. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at a time when international cooperation is becoming more challenging and necessary than ever, dialogue and partnership remain essential. They provide a platform to build trust, promote mutual understanding, and achieve shared prosperity. Let us choose to continue to nurture our bond, ensuring our partnership remains a beacon of peace and sustainable development for generations to come. In closing, I'd like to thank once again our distinguished speakers and all participants. I look forward to a fruitful and productive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General, for your insightful opening remarks. May I now invite our distinguished panelists to join us for a group photo, please? Secretary General, you as well. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the main session. And it is my pleasure to hand over the floor to Professor Shin Jae-hyuk, Director of Korea University ASEAN Center, who will moderate our today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this session of the Jeju Forum 2026, organized by the ASEAN-Korea Center under the theme, Implementation of the ASEAN-Korea Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Vision. This year's discussion takes place at an important moment for ASEAN-Korea relations. Following the elevation of ASEAN-Korea relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership, both sides are now entering a new phase in which the task is no longer simply to see the partnership, but to be implemented in concrete and practical ways. At the 26th ASEAN-ROK Summit held in October 2025, the President of the Republic of Korea presented a vision for advancing the ASEAN-Korea Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. In this vision, Korea pledged to become a contributor for dreams and hope, a springboard for growth and innovation, and a partner for peace and security. In addition, ASEAN and Korea adopted the ASEAN-ROK Plan of Action 2026 to 2030, which provides an important framework for translating the comprehensive strategic partnership into concrete cooperation across political security, economic, socio-cultural, and people-to-people exchanges. Another important development is the accession of Timor-Leste as ASEAN's 11th member states. This not only expands ASEAN's membership, but also opens a new chapter for ASEAN's regional integration and for ASEAN-Korea cooperation. Against this backdrop, today's session will discuss how Korea and ASEAN can move from vision to implementation. We'll explore practical measures to advance the CSP vision, examine regional perspectives on ASEAN-Korea relations, and discuss the implications of Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN. We are honored to have with us distinguished speakers from ASEAN member states, including Timor-Leste, the government of the Republic of Korea, and leading academic institutions. Let me briefly introduce our panelists. We have with us Her Excellency Bernadette Therese Fernandez, Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines to Korea. Please. We are also joined by His Excellency Vu Ho, Ambassador of Vietnam to Korea. From the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea, we have Mr. Dae-goog, Director of the ASEAN Cooperation Division. We have a speaker online, Her Excellency Jesuína Maria Ferreira GOMES, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Timor-Leste. Do you hear us? Okay. And finally, we have Professor Fumiharu MIENO from the Center for Southeast Asian Studies at Kyoto University. Thank you very much for joining us today. In this session, I would like to ask the panelists several guiding questions and invite each of you to share your views. After the panel discussion, we'll open the floor for questions from the audience. Before moving to speaker-specific questions, I would like to begin with two common questions for all panelists. My first question is about the implementation of the ASEAN-ROK Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Vision. ASEAN and Korea have now entered a new phase of cooperation. The task is no longer only to define the partnership, but to translate the CSP vision into concrete and practical cooperation. In your view, what should be the most important priorities in implementing the ASEAN-ROK CSP vision? More specifically, which areas should be prioritized in the early stage of CSP implementation? Okay, I would like to invite each panelist to share your views, starting with Ambassador Fernandez.
Thank you, Professor Shin, and good morning to all of you. And I wish to thank Ambassador Kim Jae-shin of the ASEAN-Korea Center for making it possible for us to deliver the CSP vision vis-a-vis ASEAN, and with that also the Philippine chairmanship of ASEAN this year. So from the perspective of the Philippines, or from my perspective, I'd like to say that the CSP vision of Korea for ASEAN should not just be a slogan. This should be more like a discipline of implementation. So we've gone past ASEAN-Korea friendship for at least almost 40 years, 37 years now, since 1999. We've completed the 2021 to 2025 joint vision statement for peace, prosperity, and partnership. And we're now into the first year of the 2026 to 2030 plan of action, of which, according to the ASEAN Secretariat, we're 22.8% in the implementation. So I would think that's going to be a natural or a course, because it's the start of the year of the implementations, so that most of what was planned was initially put in place. And this tells us that the cooperation is not only aspirational, it's functional, ongoing, and already moving. For me, the priorities of the ASEAN-Korea CSP vision should be 5 priorities. And first would be the maritime cooperation, where the strategic relevance and practical cooperation should meet. So the Philippines is co-chairing with Korea and the United States the ASEAN Regional Forum Workshop on best practices for port state measures to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, IUUF. And this is exactly the kind of cooperation that the CSP should advance: concrete, rules-based, and capacity building in nature. Also, that I think the Republic of Korea is going to be well-placed in collaborating with ASEAN insofar as maritime safety and security is concerned. law enforcement of the seas, on the seas, as well as protection, marine environment protection and conservation, always in accordance with international law. So ASEAN partners with Korea in so far as the rule of law or international rules-based order is concerned. Very interesting is Korea's proposal for a KAMSA, or what we call the Korea ASEAN Maritime Academy. Initially, this will start with Coast Guards. It's a practical platform for training, capacity building, and knowledge sharing among the 12 nations. So 11 of ASEAN plus Korea. And second would be the importance of cybersecurity and digital resilience. The ROK and ASEAN have this Cyber Shield project, which is an excellent initiative, again, of Korea, as it responds to real and growing need to train cybersecurity professionals in ASEAN, strengthen our collective response capabilities in the digital space, as well as cyber insecurity. So it's not only a cyber, as we know it, will not only be a decisive tool, but will also be a springboard for innovation in response to CSP of Korea. And third, economic upgrading is important. This year, we commenced the negotiations for the ASEAN-Korea Free Trade Area. And I know that the Ministry of Trade is already dealing with each of the 11 ASEAN countries to discuss ways and means by which we could modernize already existing free trade area insofar as supply chains, digital trade, green industries, and services are concerned. So it's important for the ASEAN-Korea Free Trade Area to remain relevant, competitive, and lastly, last but not least, would be to consider the benefits that it should bring to the population or to people. Fourth would be biodiversity and environmental protection. So the CSP and its vision will not only be judged by how we respond to traditional security concerns, but how we protect our shared future. So ASEAN and Korea, or Korea is cooperating closely with ASEAN with regard to the biodiversity centers, projects on forest preservation, solutions to marine plastic pollution, as well as natural resource management and other broader conservation initiatives. These should not be considered as peripheral concerns, but also as central to our resilience as neighboring countries. Fifth would be socio-cultural cooperation. That's last again, but not least, because in the CSP vision of Korea for ASEAN, they put forward first contributor to dreams and hopes. So that means they put forward the people first. Our usual practice would be political, economic, and socio-cultural. But in the case of Korea's vision for ASEAN, they put people first. Okay, so that's important to note regarding this cooperation. And there is strong merit in the Republic of Korea strengthening cooperation with regard to startup, innovation, and this is under the leadership of the ASEAN-Korea Center, Ambassador Kim Jae-shin. Also projects like small and medium enterprises, promotion and awareness in what we have now as the ASEAN Panorama, which will be year-long, which will feature 2 to 3 countries each time. And of course, there's the ASEAN-Korea Senior Officials Meeting for Culture and Arts, further advancing this type of work. So if I may summarize, the early implementation of the CSP should be practical, measurable, and people-centered. And I see this when both Presidents Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and President Lee Jae-myung meet. They met first in October last year and then in March this year. And both put forward so many aspirations for priorities. However, at the end of all the things that they want to prioritize, they always say, everything is for our peoples. So that's what that's what I got from both of them. And I think this will feature well in the Philippine chairmanship of ASEAN, as well as in Korea's leadership when it comes to determining the potentials of the CSP. Finally, the measure of the success will not be how many initiatives we announce, but how strong the capabilities we build. Early on, Ambassador Kim Jae-shin mentioned last year's vision for structure and then the actual implementation. And this year, we're actually seeing so many projects being implemented. Having said that, we find that these projects will be implemented soon and completed soon, so that in the middle of the 2026 and 2030 plan of action of ASEAN and Korea, we see more projects coming into fruition. We see more plans being prepared in order for this to come true. So I think a comprehensive strategic partnership must be felt in safer seas, that is for maritime cooperation, stronger institutions, and more resilient economies, better protected environments, and deeper trust among our peoples. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. Next, I would like to invite Ambassador Vu.
First, let me also join my colleagues here to express our appreciation to the ASEAN-Korea Center and Ambassador Kim Jae-shin personally for all the efforts to make this forum happen. So we hope that our voice will be heard by the larger audience. Also, because ASEAN is a corner in the world. It's a small corner of the world, but also a very important corner, as I understand from all the statements made by leaders all around the region and around the world. Now, we back to the main question that our moderator just put forward, which is, I found it very interesting because, well, implementation of a relationship between Korea and ASEAN and Korea is not a question of do we do it, but the question is how are we going to do it? How are we going to implement what our leaders already agreed and our capitals already drafted a plan? So how we can carry out this work? So in my view, the first issue is the CSP, the ASEAN-Korea CSP, or Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, is also entering a new phase together with the world. The world is fragmented. So our view is not to make sure that this relationship is not going to be fragmented as a world, but to make sure that the connection is still there, the dialogue is still there, the cooperation is still there, despite the fact that the world is going apart in many corners. That's the first point, political point. And in this whole process, the dialogue or the confidence building are the most important things. The confidence building process between the nations, between ASEAN and Korea, should not be stopped, should not be eliminated, or should not be derived from contribution to the peace, stability, and development for the whole two regions. the Northeast Asia and the Southeast Asia together as a cornerstone of the wider region, Indo-Pacific. Now, we have the confidence, we have seen that the confidence among those two players, Korea and ASEAN, has been implemented for the last almost 40 years, since 1989. And the question is, what would be the next stage of the development of this relationship? Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, or the CSP, is just a statement, a political statement. But what would be next? The next thing I think is, a more important thing is prevention. We have to cooperate to prevent all the bad things happen to this region, to make sure that we are aware of the fact that all these negative things could not be unaware of in our region, so we can be well prepared for all the unnecessary, all unexpected things that happen to the region. And by the way, what my sister here mentioned, the maritime security is one of the things that we have to prevent, all the miscalculations, all the things that unexpected to happen without our being aware of. That's a prevention. And the next stage, I think, in a furthermore issue is how to manage all the differences that's been happened or that have been found in our relationship, our cooperation process. Because in all the integration processes in this world, differences are something that's always can be found anywhere in the way how we move forward. So how to manage all those differences from being differences to become conflict. That's something that we have to think of in the longer way. So in this case, once again, international laws, the spirits of dialogue should become some sort of habit, and the openness in dialogue could come to the prevention, and then the international law should be the standard for every kind of actions in the region. So only relying on this, on those three aspects, we can move forward. Any kind of cooperation, anything of that we are dreaming of, or something that we are hoping for, will be realized in the long run. Now, concrete matters, concrete issues. The world is changing. The region is changing. So what would drive our cooperation towards that? I think for a long, long time, Southeast Asia, be it 10 nations, 11 nations, as for now, as a base of production. Somewhere that big corporates come to make the productions, where they use laborers for their productions to re-export it to some other markets. So to make sure that this production process being not too vulnerable to anything that change the world, any changes that the world is facing now is one thing, but to elevate the quality of cooperation, the quality of your investment in Southeast Asia is something else. To make sure that we are the real partners, not the production base for some big corporates or multinational corporates out there. It's something else that we have to think of. Both the government of Korea, the business community of Korea, and the government of the Southeast Asia nations. That's what we are working for, to make sure that we are equal partners in the world. not someone that to submit to somewhere else, to someone else. Now, that's one thing. Another thing is, I understand, I think we all agree that, well, Northeast Asia is also a hot region in this world. With proliferations, with geopolitical rivalries, with the proliferations of nuclear weapons, with everything that may affect the peace and stability, not only in Southeast Asia, but also in the world. But what ASEAN can do here to make sure that we are living in a more stable, more secure, and a more peaceful region, wider region, Indo-Pacific. That's something that we have to work for. And again, dialogue and cooperation is the key to all these questions. I think that's already answered your questions. And I don't take the stage too long.
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador. Now I'd like to invite Vice Minister GOMES from Timor-Leste to share her views. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Greetings from Timor-Leste. Before I begin, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Secretary General of the ASEAN-Korea Center for the kind invitation and the opportunity to join this distinguished forum. In my view, the early implementation of the ASEAN-ROK CSP should focus on a few high-impact priorities that can deliver early results while laying the foundation for long-term regional cooperation. First, investing in people should remain our highest priority. Strengthening education, skills development, digital literacy, research collaboration, and youth exchanges will equip future generations with the knowledge and capabilities needed to thrive in an increasingly dynamic and interconnected region. Second, deepening economic cooperation and innovation is essential. Closer collaboration in trade, investment, digital transformation, technology, and resilient supply chains will promote inclusive economic growth and enhance ASEAN's long-term competitiveness. Third, sustainable development and regional connectivity must continue to guide our partnership. Cooperation in infrastructure, renewable energy, climate resilience, and digital connectivity will not only improve regional integration, but also support a greener and more sustainable future. Fourth, stronger institutions are fundamental to effective implementation. Enhancing governance, policy coordination, technical cooperation, and institutional capacity will enable all ASEAN member states to participate more effectively in regional initiatives and maximize the benefits of the CSP. Finally, people-to-people connectivity remains the foundation of enduring cooperation. Educational and cultural exchange, academic partnerships, tourism, and youth engagement strengthen mutual understanding, build trust, and reinforce a shared regional identity. In conclusion, I would like to address that the ASEAN-ROK CSP should remain people-centered, forward-looking, and results-oriented. Its success should be measured not only by the number of programs we deliver, but by the stronger partnership we build, the opportunities we create, and the lasting benefits we bring to the peoples of ASEAN and the Republic of Korea. Together, ASEAN and Korea can build a more resilient, innovative, and prosperous future for our region. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Vice Minister GOMES. Next is Director Ha, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, ASEAN-Korea Center for having me here. It's a great honor to join the ASEAN session. Do I have like 5 or 6 minutes? 2 minutes. I'll make it short. Okay. I feel like I'm getting a lot of homework as I hear about differing priorities from ambassadors as well as the vice minister. And yes, there are many different priority areas that we are trying to work on. But as Ambassador Fernandez said, yes, we don't want this to be just a slogan. And in that regard, we have been working on concretizing the CSP vision into 12 lines of action and 36 action items, which is still work in progress. So there is some room for adjustments, but it will soon be revealed, at least in its draft form. Let me build on the order of a CSP that's been presented, and I liked how Ambassador put it, that she was impressed to see people coming up first. And in that regard, in fact, our very first line of effort, the title goes "Home Beyond Home." So we want Korea to be a much more welcoming place for our ASEAN friends, be it for a short-term visit or for a long-term stay or even for a permanent stay. There has been quite a bit of institutional changes. We are working on a different set of new regulations to enable that. And I can tell you that we are also working with the ASEAN-Korea Center to help your students as well as your workers to better adapt and integrate to Korea. In fact, from adaptation to integration is one of the action items that we're working on. So we want to ensure that Korea is a much more welcoming place for everyone. And at the same time, we want to ensure along the lines of this contributor vision that our culture is not a one-way business, but a two-way business. We want to ensure that the culture doesn't flow one way, but flows both ways. And in that regard, we've been working on an interagency level to come up with an initiative on ASEAN-ROK cultural industry initiative. This is going to be revealed very soon. Passing on to the S part, my president laid out a vision of increasing the current trade volume, annual trade volume of 200 billion to 300 billion. But this is not just number that we're talking about. We want quality into it. And just as Ambassador mentioned, we don't want to regard the region as some kind of production basis. We want a mutually beneficial relationship to continue to develop in the CSP relations. So the primary areas that we are going to work on under the S vision, the Springboard vision, is we want to first of all place emphasis on AI. It's everybody's theme, and my colleagues at the Ministry of Science are working on ASEAN-Korea AI initiative. We want to ensure that our AI is a shared goal, not a one-way business either. Also, on the digital area, we want to help you to implement the DIFA, which you have just concluded your negotiations and will be signed later this year. Maybe these are a couple of areas, but there are many other areas that we are working on specific econ aspects of our relations. And moving on to the P part, my president very specifically laid out when he went to the summit last year that we want to help the region better tackle the scam activities. And yes, in that regard, we are supporting a plan that will be launched very soon under the collaboration of Korean National Police Agency and ASEAN-ROK to tackle scam activities in the area. This is going to be funded by ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund. Singapore has been helping us to co-lead this project within the ASEAN framework. And as Ambassador said, we are also working on a separate project with the Coast Guards in the region the Philippines has been helping us to co-lead within the ASEAN framework. And so yes, within the PIA vision, we're trying to make our presence more felt through police activities, Coast Guard activities, and there are several other activities that we're looking into proposing in the area of security and defense as well. But I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you, Director Ha. Finally, Professor MIENO, please share your views.
Okay, thank you very much. I also express the sincere appreciation that Ambassador Kim and AKC, and it's my honor to have this opportunity and to talk, and also a pleasure to hear. And very quick self-introduction that the Center for Southeast Asian Studies in Kyoto University, Japan, is the oldest and the largest Southeast Asian research institutions in Japan, and it's already 60 years anniversary we had, and it established before the birth of ASEAN itself. Anyway, and since 10 years ago that we have we launched that the consortium for Southeast Asian studies in Asian regions, together with the Southeast Asian research institutions in regions, as well as that Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan's research institutions in Southeast Asia, and the Korean counterpart here is that the Korean Association for Southeast Asia. In that led by Professor Jong Seong at John Bok University, and personally, I myself is an economist and specialize on the Thailand and the Myanmar, Laos, and also the financial economies in Asian regions. And in this, and with my background, about the questions that the priority of that, and along with the maritime security issues, that's very important. I think that economic cooperation might be that one of that fundamental base for that the rest of them, that the cultural exchange and cooperations. And this might be a key for that recreation activities all over the issues. And in this occasion that I come to know and learn about the CSP and found it very, very powerful. The economic, in relation with the economic corporations, I think this practice that have been proceeded already, but we can see that the economic cooperation frameworks have never exclusive, yeah, and it should be exclusive. And looking back to that the RCEP and many bilateral free trade agreement, and also ASEAN financial cooperation framework and the ASEAN Plus 3. They all in the inclusive way, and I think it's the enhancement of economic cooperation in the region, and since that. The East Asian financial crisis in 1997, after ASEAN countries rebuilt the economy and the experience of prosperity, and where Korea and Japan also share the prosperity of this prosperity, as Ambassador Kim mentioned. And in this situation, current situation in geopolitics, change that this framework and environment as stabilized now, so that probably the initiative by the Korean initiative on shown in that comprehensive strategic partnership may important, significant role for promote that to maintain and improve that stable environment in economic cooperation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our speakers have too much to share, and as moderator, I'm in trouble. We have only 16 minutes to left. So I'll skip the second common question and move straight to the speaker-specific question, starting with Her Excellency, Ambassador Bernadette. From the perspective of the Philippines, what should be the key priorities for strengthening ASEAN-Korea cooperation under the CSP? In particular, how can ASEAN and Korea work together to ensure the CSP contributes to regional stability, resilience, and inclusive growth? What specific areas of cooperation would the Philippines like to see strengthened between ASEAN and Korea? Please.
Professor, I understand your time limitation, so I will just read and not add anymore to. So from the Philippines' perspective, ASEAN Republic of Korea Comprehensive Strategic Partnership must be implemented as a whole of society effort. So governments will remain central but cannot carry the full weight of the partnership or cooperation in all aspects. So governments will, of course, provide the political will, institutional support, agreements. We build the architecture, the diplomatic framework, and supply chain resilience to mobility, institutional cooperation, and elevation of relations to the comprehensive strategic partnership level. But this architecture needs substance. Research institutes and the academic community provide the data and analysis needed for the sound policy, especially on climate resilience, demographic change, digital transformation, geopolitical shifts. Private sector will bring innovation, investment, and scale. And to a certain extent, I see that here in the Republic of Korea, the research centers of the private institutions are very strong, and they contribute to the research and development of the academic community. Turns policy ambition into jobs, technology, green industries, and economic opportunity. Of course, civil society will safeguard inclusion, transparency, and human dignity. And this is especially important for people-to-people ties, including the growing ASEAN migrant community in the Republic of Korea. So if there are 660 million ASEAN population, this is among the 11 countries, at least 1% of those are here in the Republic of Korea. So Korea is now into labor pathways, equitable labor pathways, rights protection, and cultural understanding. And then, of course, we see how the labor protection component of Korea is extending towards its seasonal workers program. So recently, they've established a center within the Ministry of Agriculture, but this will just be focused on the assessment, care of the seasonal workers. So that's a new area of cooperation. And the youth, meanwhile, should not be seen as beneficiaries. They should be seen as co-implementers of the CSP vision. So it's important to know that their role in education, entrepreneurship, innovation, culture, digital cooperation gives the partnership continuity. Having said that, I also find it important to note that later on, the youth will bear the burden of those vulnerable, those who cannot catch up. So the youth will have to, will need sufficient support from all of us. So when we talk about vulnerable sectors, we talk about the aging population, we talk about women and children who may not receive extensive support because of maybe economic differences, economic challenges. And so for the Philippines, the roles are clear. Government will set direction, experts provide the evidence, the private sector brings the scale, civil society protects inclusion, and youth carries the partnership forward. The CSP should not only be negotiated by states, it should be understood, supported, and lived by societies. And this is how we ensure the CSP vision not only moves forward, but works well for Korea and ASEAN people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. Next question is to Ambassador Vu. Your Excellency, Vietnam has been one of Korea's most important partners in ASEAN, particularly in trade, investment, manufacturing. From Vietnam's perspective, how do you assess the current state of ASEAN-Korea relations under the CSP? Second, what lessons can be drawn from Vietnam-Korea cooperation for broader ASEAN-Korea cooperation? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think I already mentioned this in my first intervention, because, well, ASEAN and Korea, Vietnam and Korea has a long time relationship. If we counted people-to-people connectivity, then we had a connectivity since 800 years ago. It's almost a millennia of knowing each other. But to be booming, it should be. It started from 30 years ago, in '92, in fact, and then the cooperation between the two countries now become another CSP in comprehensive strategic partnership, and it's also booming with all the signs of relationship. So Vietnam is, on another hand, Vietnam is very active member states of ASEAN, and I don't think I can. I think that all my ASEAN colleagues here would agree with me that you cannot imagine any ASEAN without Vietnam. So, in the sense that the relationship between Korea and ASEAN and Korea, Vietnam is an integral part of that relationship. And it cannot be separated from that relationship because of, even we can be brave enough to assume that to exclude Vietnam from this scheme. So anyway, back to the question that how Vietnam can contribute to this relationship. We have been doing this since the time that we joined ASEAN. The first thing is to make sure that Korea is closer to ASEAN. Vietnam is the one that opened up the door to the ASEAN Regional Forum for Republic of Korea to join first in '94, and then surprisingly the Democratic Republic of Korea, or the North Korea as we call it, in '96 to join the ASEAN Regional Forum, the RRF in short. And then the East Asia Summit, Vietnam is the one that's going first to open it up to Korea and Japan to join together, the East Asia Summit. And then let's say that another thing that we close to Korea is, well, strategically speaking, Korea and Vietnam, we have nowhere to go to other than to meet each other in the middle ground, which is ASEAN. So that's something that I can say now, right now, because I have only 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. Next question is to Vice Minister GOMES. Your Excellency, Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN is one of the most important recent developments in the region. From Timor-Leste's perspective, what is the significance of Timor-Leste's accession to ASEAN? And what opportunities and challenges do you see as Timor-Leste becomes more fully integrated into ASEAN mechanisms? How can Korea support Timor-Leste's capacity building and development within the ASEAN framework? and what areas of ROK Timor-Leste cooperation should be strengthened in alignment with broader ASEAN-ROK relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. For Timor-Leste, ASEAN membership represents far more than joining a regional organization. It's a strategic platform to accelerate national development, deepen regional integration, and contribute to ASEAN's shared future. It also marks a historic milestone in our nation building after more than a decade of preparation and reform. As our President José Ramos Horta has described it, ASEAN membership is a strategic investment in Timor-Leste's future, while our Prime Minister Kayala Shanana Guzmão has called it a dream realized and the beginning of new chapter of national development. These statements reflect our conviction that ASEAN membership is not the end of our journey, but the beginning of a long-term commitment to reform, competitiveness, and regional engagement. From our perspective, ASEAN membership offers many opportunities. However, due to the time constraint, I would like to highlight three key opportunities. First, it gives Timor-Leste a stronger voice in regional affairs by enabling us to participate fully in ASEAN's decision-making processes and contribute more actively to regional peace, security, and sustainable development. Second, it provides new opportunities for economic transformation. Access to a regional market of more than 680 million people creates greater potential for trade, investment, tourism, and participation in regional value chains, while supporting our efforts to diversify the economy beyond petroleum. Third, ASEAN accelerates the development of our institutions and people through education, technical training, leadership programs, and knowledge exchange. We can strengthen human capital while improving governance, public administration, and institutional effectiveness. Importantly, Timor-Leste joined ASEAN not only to benefit from regional integration, but also to contribute to it. Our experience in peace building, reconciliation, democratic transition, and post-conflict state building enables us to share valuable lessons in support of ASEAN's vision of peaceful, resilient, and people-centered community. While ASEAN membership offers significant opportunities, it also presents several challenges. I would like to highlight at least three challenges here. First, institutional capacity and human capital. Effective participation in ASEAN requires capable institutions, skilled diplomats, and qualified technical experts who can engage in ASEAN's extensive policy processes. Second, economic competitiveness. As one of ASEAN's smaller economies, Timor-Leste must improve productivity, strengthen the private sector, attract investment, and diversify its economy beyond petroleum. Third, connectivity and regulatory readiness. Greater investment in transport, logistics, energy, digital infrastructure, and regulatory harmonization will strengthen Timor-Leste's integration into regional markets and value chains while enabling us to implement ASEAN commitments more effectively. In our view, these challenges should not be seen as obstacles, but as opportunities to accelerate reform and modernization. By addressing them, Timor-Leste will be better positioned not only to benefit from ASEAN integration, but also to contribute meaningfully to a stronger, more resilient, and more inclusive ASEAN community. Regarding the bilateral cooperation and what Korea can support Timor-Leste, Korea can support Timor-Leste by transferring knowledge, building institutions, developing human capital, promoting investment, and sharing its successful development experience. This will help Timor-Leste become a more competitive and effective member of ASEAN. Within the broader ASEAN framework, stronger bilateral cooperation between Timor-Leste and Korea contributes directly to the implementation of the ASEAN-ROK CSP. It supports ASEAN's goals of narrowing development gaps, strengthening regional connectivity, promoting inclusive growth, developing human capital, and enhancing regional resilience. As Timor-Leste begins its journey as ASEAN's newest member, Korea's experience, investment, technical expertise, and long-standing friendship can play a critical role in helping the country become a capable, competitive, and active contributor to the ASEAN community. To maximize this partnership, I believe our cooperation should focus on at least 5 key areas. First, investing in people and institutions. Human capital and institutional capability are the foundation of ASEAN integration. Continued cooperation in education, scholarships, TVET, digital skills, leadership development, and public sector capacity building will strengthen Timor-Leste's readiness to participate effectively in ASEAN institutions. Programs such as Kickstart have already demonstrated the value of this partnership. Second, promoting economic transformation. As Timor-Leste diversifies beyond petroleum, closer collaboration in agriculture, fisheries, manufacturing, tourism, and workforce development will create jobs and enhance competitiveness. The employment permit system is an excellent example of how bilateral cooperation can promote labor mobility, skills development, and knowledge transfers for long-term national development. Third, accelerating digital transformation and sustainable development. Korea's expertise in digital government, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and smart infrastructure can support Timor-Leste's digital transition. At the same time, Korea's development cooperation through KOICA, including the recently announced 13.2 million USD projects on forest restoration and school nutrition, demonstrates how practical cooperation can improve environmental sustainability, food security, education, and community well-being. Fourth, strengthening connectivity and regional partnerships, expanding educational exchanges, youth programs, tourism, cultural cooperation, academic collaboration, and private sector engagement will deepen mutual understanding and strengthen people-to-people ties. Looking ahead, Korea's support for Timor-Leste's ASEAN chairmanship in 2029 through technical assistance and capacity building will be invaluable in helping us fulfill these important regional responsibilities. Finally, every aspect of our bilateral cooperation should reinforce ASEAN's collective priorities. By working together, Timor-Leste and Korea can contribute to a more connected, competitive, and resilient ASEAN while advancing the objectives of the ASEAN-ROK Comprehensive Strategic Partnerships. In conclusion, the ASEAN-ROK CSP should remain people-centered and result-oriented, delivering tangible and sustainable benefits to the people of ASEAN and Korea. Through cooperation in human capital development, institutional capacity building, economic transformation, digital connectivity, and sustainable development, ASEAN and Korea can foster a more resilient, inclusive, and prosperous region. For Timor-Leste, This partnership supports its successful integration into ASEAN while contributing to ASEAN's shared goals and regional resilience, inclusiveness, and sustainable growth. Professor, Mr. Moderator, please accept my apologies. I will not be able to remain until the end of the session due to my attendance at the funeral ceremony of our former president. If there are any questions or comments following my departure, I would appreciate if they could be noted. I will be pleased to respond to them a later time. Thank you for your understanding, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Minister. Vice Minister. Okay, thank you. Next question is to Director Ha. Well, I have to limit your response 1 minute. Could you introduce one most important initiative being developed under the CSP vision, please?
I think I already mentioned some of the initiatives that are being developed under the CSP initiative. So let me just rather answer in a different way. So is CSP something totally different from the previous policies like NSP or CASI? No, the answer is no. We are in, it's all about continuity and evolution. We all know across both parties, across the whole spectrum of politics and businesses, everyone's aware of the importance of ASEAN. So it's very much in line of continuity and evolution. So how is it evolving? Let me throw out three aspects in which the CSP vision as a policy guidance is an evolution compared to the past. So one, reflecting more the socio-cultural aspects of our society, of our culture into this vision, especially, for instance, the demographic changes or the need for greater understanding when it comes to cultural aspects of both sides. Two, we want to become more keener to the needs of ASEAN, be it security or your R&D demands, technical cooperation, transfer of knowledge, those kind of needs. And third, this is actually one of the names of the lines of effort, which is widening bridges of understanding. So there has been a bit of imbalance of how we understand. In fact, ASEAN understands Korea more than Korea understands ASEAN, to be sure. So we want to ensure that Korea understands more of ASEAN and make sure that it comes not just on the government level, but across the youth, the media, and the academia. So I'd say that those are the evolutions that are reflected on the CSP vision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My final question goes to Professor MIENO. As a scholar based in Japan with a deep expertise in Southeast Asia, well, are there any lessons Korea can draw from other major partners' engagement with ASEAN, including Japan's experience?
Thank you very much, and please allow me 3 minutes, okay? Yeah, and yes, and actually, learning that the CSP in these occasions, I'm surprised to that it is very much allied with that recent work actions in Japan. In actually 2023, Japanese government celebrated on this 50 years anniversary of that friendship relationship with ASEAN. And the government prepared that supplementary budget, national budget, to promote this on the next 10 decades. And also the increase that the fund to the Japan ASEAN Integration Fund established at 2005. And now they're focusing on the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific initiative issues. So, and the action is very much synchronized and allied, I think. And I would like to share that just one point that because due to the time limitations on that in this Japanese government case, and also I joined that the elaboration of this. Anyway, and we focus on, in this term, the very scientific and technological cooperation with ASEAN in the way of the mutual direction, But what I mean is that in the traditional relationship is that the Southeast Asia and the Northeast Asia is that a very vertical case in terms of the economy and also the technology transfer or diffusion side. But looking at that 10 years and the 20 years later futures, probably the situation may change. And with the co-creation of the technology or the base knowledge is very important. As Director De, okay, Dae-goog mentioned that AI and IT technologies are one possibility, of course, but we have some different angle of this point. The environment or comparative advantage is that Northeast Asia and Southeast Asia are different. Maybe Southeast Asia have more and more abundant agricultural resources and bio-based resources as well as natural resources. And the industrializations in the coming 10 years or 20 years in Southeast Asia may be different from those of Korea or Japan. So maybe that the new technology in relation with that renewable energy or bio-based material or something. So that academia in Japan is now evolving to that such innovations in very from baseline, like on the management creating that the joint laboratory in the universities in that natural science field, and so that probably we are seeking and the shared prosperity, not in the near future but the far future, and a case of that kind of the sowing a seed for the innovation in the future. So probably I'm not sure that it can be a reference of the Koreans these visions or not. But yeah, but also I'm thinking that if it is that effective, and we can Korea and Japan may have the cooperation framework in the cooperation with ASEAN in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor MIENO. Well, now I'll open the floor for questions. Given the time constraint, I'll take one question from the audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand and briefly identify yourself. Okay, I can take two, so don't feel pressure. Yes.
I'm Senior Manager of National Information Society Agency in Korea under the Ministry of Science and ICT. I know in Korea, we usually have three types of cooperation. One is the cooperation with the multilateral organization, and the other one is ODA, so Official Development Assistance. I know that this government has shrunk the budget of the ODA from last year, so we have challenges, and some cooperation projects has not gonna leave, can implement it from next year for the ASEAN countries. So how, for the professor from Kyoto University, how the Japan government used the budget of the cooperation with ASEAN countries? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Okay, this is a question for me. Okay, thank you very much. In fact, that recent trend of Japanese ODA to the ASEAN countries that decreasing the same. But as total decreasing, but the core strategies that are shifting to the Africa or some other places that also. But one point is that I'm actually the economist, and is that the ASEAN countries, in particular, the developed advanced ASEAN countries such as Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia as well, are now become rich enough in a sense, because that means that they enjoy that trade deficits. That means that the national saving, domestic saving is already accessed, so that the national account, it's very easy to say that these countries and investing as other country already. So that means that the infrastructure development can be done by themselves. Actually, so but the situation is not different. So I'm thinking that the Japanese strategies that are kind of coordinations, the corporations of the ODA to the less developed countries in ASEAN, with that the developed ASEAN countries. Of course, that maybe that harmonization is the cooperation with Koreans ODA and the Japanese ODA is also thinkable, I think. Thank you.
Okay, final question. Yes.
My name is Sanjay Kumar, and I'm a journalist at the Korea Herald. My question would be to the ambassadors here from Vietnam and Philippines. Your Excellencies, last year, after the visit of President Lee Jae-myung to ASEAN, there was a lot of discussions on the CSP vision in the media, in the ASEAN media as well as Korean media, and internationally also it was taken very seriously. But we would like to know what has happened after that, as Her Excellency was also mentioning that something like implementation is more important, so that it should not be just end up as a slogan. So we would like to know what kind of expected outcomes are in pipeline and what kind of discussions are going to really bring tangible results.
Okay, please. Just one thing you can.
Earlier, each of us, we mentioned specific projects that are already moving to sort of bring meat to the CSP vision. And the ASEAN Secretariat has noted that we are already 22.8% into the implementation of the plan of action, which is well within also the CSP vision. And I look at it in terms of the Philippine chairmanship of ASEAN this year as a way by which the CSP meets the ASEAN. For example, our theme this year is navigating our future together. So that's like we meet the CSP vision with our own peace and security anchors, prosperity corridors, and people empowerment along those lines. And I think our director from MOFA, Diego, mentioned about 12 key sectors and then 36 particular projects. I also mentioned earlier, maybe these projects will not have to wait until the end of 2030. In fact, they could be concluded soonest, so that in the middle, we can think about more projects which will benefit ASEAN and Korea. I look also at the way by which... Oh, finish. I'm done. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry, Ambassador Vu. I was told that, we have to finish this session.
I'll be only 30 seconds.
Okay.
Just look at the numbers of the visitors from Korea to Vietnam and from Vietnam to Korea. And the number is 4,500,000 Koreans visited Vietnam in 1 year, 2025. And only 6 months of the first 6 months of 26, it's already 4 million. Only in 6 months. So that says many things. And I think it's done.
Okay.
What's the questions?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all distinguished panelists, and thank you ASEAN-Korea Center, and thank you all participants. I hope you enjoy the rest of the Jeju Forum. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ASEAN-Korea Center session on the implementation of ASEAN-ROK CSP vision. We extend our sincere gratitude to all of our panelists for sharing their valuable insights and expertise. We also thank everyone in the audience for your interest and engagement. I wish all a safe and pleasant journey home.